Okay. He is highly skilled. He is highly intelligent. He is methodical, organized, and observant. He is perceptive, sneaky, and light on his feet. He is patient and strikes with a force. His victims don't stand a chance. He is silent and deadly. Now, you may be picturing some spy from a James Bond movie or Jack Bauer from 24, but I'm actually describing a polar bear when he's on the hunt. Today, I'd like to describe to you the hunting rituals of polar bears: still hunting, stalking, and begging. First, I would like to describe the most common hunting habit. The habit that is most used by polar bears is called still hunting. Still hunting consists of a polar bear remaining motionless behind a seal's breathing hole or edge of the ice, waiting for the seal to surface. As you can see, the polar bear will lay down on the ice and remain undetected by the seal. This practice requires patience because it can take anywhere from a few hours to a few days for a seal to surface in the breathing hole. On average, this ordeal takes less than an hour, but a bear is willing to wait much longer than that. A polar bear uses its highly developed sense of smell to detect the seal's breath when it surfaces. A polar bear's sense of smell is so strong that it can smell a seal on the ice from 20 miles away, sniff out a seal's den that is covered by snow, and find breathing holes up to a mile away. Their sense of smell is so strong that they are called noses with legs. Once they detect a seal surface in their breathing hole, the polar bear will lunge over the edge, grab it, and flip it up onto the ice. Polar bears usually only eat the blubber and leave the rest to scavengers. So now that we know a little bit about the polar bear's main form of hunting, let's learn about the other forms. Stalking is a form of hunting that requires observation and patience. Stalking occurs when a seal hauls up onto the ice to rest or bask in the sun. The first type of stalking is called land stalking. When a polar bear spots a seal out onto the ice, it will slowly and steadily stalk it. He will crawl forward slowly and freeze whenever the seal lifts his head so he remains undetected. The polar bear will suddenly charge the seal when it is within 50 to 100 feet of it, and he will grab it before it can leave the ice. The second type of stalking is called aquatic stockings. This is similar to land stalking, but instead of stalking the seal while it's on the ice, they go into the water and swim over to the seal that is lying on the ice. And you can't see any seals, but they're there. They go into the When he reaches the edge of the ice, he will quickly emerge from the water and grab the seal. Next, I will describe a form of stalking that is typically used by mother bears with cubs under a year old. Birth layer stalking is only used in the spring when seals give birth to their pups. Mother seals and pups have the high fat content needed for growing pups and their hungry mothers that have just awoken from hibernation. Seals build their birth layers under snowdrifts next to a hole in the ice. The snowdrifts are on stable ice attached to the land, and this is beneficial to young cubs because it allows them to avoid crossing the water. Once the polar bear detects the birth layer with its strong sense of smell, she will slowly rise up onto her hind legs, as you can see in the picture. She will crash down on the roof of the birth layer with her front paws with a great force to crush the roof. This method of hunting isn't always effective, though, because multiple efforts are sometimes required. And because of this, the seals have time to escape into the water. Lastly, I will describe a technique that is not hunting, but a way to obtain food nonetheless. Begging. It's a way to get food without the patience or skill of hunting, and it is usually when food is scarce. A polar bear may obtain a large carcass that he will share with other bears if they beg properly. They beg by adopting a submissive, low-to-the-ground stance. They circle the carcass slowly, and then they touch the nose of the owner of the desired food. This ritual was first observed by Russian scientist Nikita Ovsyannikov. Although seals are the main food for a polar bear, if they are unattainable, they will eat other foods as well. They are known to eat walruses, beluga whales, carcasses of large whales, reindeer, small rodents, seabirds, fish, eggs, even vegetation and berries, and unfortunately, human garbage. When seals are hard to come by, they will scavenge on the carcasses of large whales that have already died, and those times are typically when begging comes into play. So today I've described for you the varied, ritualistic, and intelligent ways that polar bears obtain their food. Polar bears are at the top of the food chain in the Arctic, and their hunting of seals helps keep the population of seals under control, which is why polar bears hunting is so beneficial. In conclusion, I'd like to highlight the fact that a study done by scientist Allison Ames concluded that polar bears are just as smart as apes, a fact of which is certainly reflected by their hunting habits. I hope everyone can begin to appreciate polar bears for the wonderful and intelligent animals that they are. Thank you.
No.
Alma, were you here?
I'm not a baby.
Okay, what did you think?
I thought it was really good. Her opening line was really amazing. It was really good. For the most part, her presentation went smoothly, and she followed her speeches well. And I would like a little more less reading, even though like when she read it didn't seem like really. Her reading still wasn't very well on reading parts. It seemed a little more interactive and listening parts. Overall, it was really good.
All right. Yeah, Chelsea, I thought you got us started off really well. I like the suspenseful visualization you have as your attention device. That was nice. And then you tell us what your topic is, and you've got a good statement of the thesis. There's a pretty good preview, although it seemed a little bit like you were rushing it a bit, and so you can take your time there. So everything is set up really well. The payoff needs to be a little stronger, I think, and the two places that it needs to be stronger, the content, I think your descriptions are really good, but where'd you get that information? And I know that you did research, but you need to be citing it, and you've got one good quote that you use right at the end about the intelligence of polar bears. It seems to me like that would be something that would be good to use early on in the speech, and then say, let me show you some of the ways that proves how intelligent they are, and then, so, the National Geographic Society observed polar bears in the stocking rituals that, they talked about the two different kinds of stocking that they do. Or here's this, you did okay on that third one when you cited the one expert who first reported the begging phenomenon. I thought that was okay. You need more of that in the other part of the speech. The visuals on the first 2 points I thought were pretty solid. They kind of give us the idea about what's going on in that situation. It's a little bit harder to get that from the third one that you have. Basically, we just see the bear standing there, and then we got the cute bears over there too. So it's always fun to look at the cute bears, but the bear standing there, there's not much context. I don't know if there's another photo that would make it clear that he's kind of peeking up over something or waiting for the opportunity to smash down on things. So it was just not as good as the other sections were, but the other ones did a pretty good job. And I kind of agree that I think you're doing okay in reading to the audience. You're not overly looking too much at the script, but it sounds like you're reading. It doesn't sound smooth. It doesn't sound like, here's something that I know about that I'm sharing with you. It's, here's something that I read about that I'm going to read to you. And you do a good job on reading it, but I think it could be more personable and more involved. We're going to work on delivery issues for the next round of speeches, so that's not a big deal right now. All the structural stuff is pretty good. Sometimes the transitions are a little mechanical, and everybody wants to get that down right, so it's not that it's a problem, but to be better, we'll want it to be a little bit more smoother, more polished. All right, thank you.